in the rule-based workflow, the parallel workflow scenario. Okay, so we discussed it at very high level. So let me give a quick recap on this. So basically what happens is in case of parallel workflow, the scenario will be something like this. So you'll have a requester and requester submits that request. It creates actually two parallel work items and let's say it goes to approver 1 and approver 2 parallelly at the same time. So both can individually, they can open that change request. They can take that action on this. Okay. So once they took this particular action on this one, so what happens is now you see both the responses. So SAP provided a baddie. So now that particular baddie also acts as a step to us. Okay. So there is a baddie. Okay. Now, so both can either approve or reject here, approve or reject. So those responses actually come to this particular baddie, and now from this baddie will consolidate these responses and it will actually give you the output. By consolidating, after consolidating all these requests, it should be an approve or it should be a kind of rejection scenario. Okay, if it is approve, either we can go with the next step. The next step can be any steward step or probably some kind of activation step. Okay, if there are no further steps, so you can directly call that activation step. So this is our normal flow. So once you receive an approval from the baddie, so what should be your next step? So the next step can be another approver step, or it can be directly the activation step, and then it will reach to your 99 step, which is your workflow completion, the last step. Okay, so this is how actually it works. Okay, so now let's look at in the system. It is exactly similar to what we discussed in the previous sessions. The only difference is now you can see this yellow color highlighted ones are the additional steps. Okay, so now let's discuss what is this one. Okay, so what happens? So here earlier in place of these three steps, you used to have one single step. Okay, that is nothing but your approver step. Let's say it can be your 90 step. Okay, so basically you see earlier we have like once a requester submits, we used to go to that next step as 90 step. Okay, so the in place of the so this PL acts as a 90 the other approver step. Okay, so approver one, let's say this is your approver one. So the same approver one step we are dividing it into three steps like this. Okay, earlier you used to have approver step, the same approvers in place of approver step I'm having three steps. So the single approval step we divided into three steps. Now I'll tell you why we divided into three steps. Now in place of approver one, actually this is your PL parent step. Okay. So now the parent step further having two childs over here, P1 and P2. Okay. So now what happens if you look at this decision table? So once requester submits, it goes to approver step. Nothing but your parallel step. I just denoted with PL. Okay. So this is the earlier, similar to earlier only. Okay. Now whenever there is this next step, and here you have something called merge type and this particular one. Okay. I'll come back to this one. So once this PL step is there, after that, if you have some of the steps, like for example, you can see P1 and P2, there are two steps. For this P1 and P2, two steps, next steps. So what we are saying is the parent step acts as PL. So whenever you create something like this 00 to PL, and this PL acts as a parent to some child steps. Okay. Now system will initiate. So once the requester submits, so the system will look at the next step, and at the same time for this next step acts as a parent step for any other child. So then it will look up the parent step. For the parent step, there are two childs are there. Okay. So now what happens? It creates basically two parallel threads over here. Two parallel threads over here. Okay. Now these two parallel threads, it will initiate, and these two parallel threads will be sent to like in this diagram, like A1 and A2. Okay. Nothing but this is a P1 and P2. Okay. It goes to this particular parallel step. Now at this parallel step, right? That means it goes to approver 1 and approver 2. Okay. Now approver 1 has two options, approve and reject. Approver 2 also has two options, approve and reject. Now they can take any, let's say both approver 1 and approver 2 to irrespective of the, now we have three threads. One is the main PL thread and there are two child threads are there. Okay, so irrespective of whether this approver one approve or reject, approver two approve or reject. So I wanted to close these two child because the action is done. So this approver one already took the action. So this child thread I wanted to close. Similarly, approver two also took some action. So this child thread also I wanted to close. But that means the main PL parallel step will be still there. That is still open. So that's why you see, irrespective of if both the action is approve or reject, what I'm doing is I'm actually calling my condition alias C. Okay, corresponding to condition alias C in the non-user agent decision table, I'm closing my workflow. So process pattern, whenever you call 99 process pattern, it closes that respective threads. So approver one approved or rejected. Here it takes this condition alias and closes this work item. Similarly, approver two also approve or reject. It goes the condition alias C and it closes that work item. Okay, now those two parallel threads are closed and the main thread is there. Okay, the main parallel work item is there. So what happens, these responses approve or reject, so those responses now it will be sent to baddie. Okay, so that's why we are saying here the merge parameter. So these two threads are closed now. Now the responses I wanted to send it to this particular service name is nothing but that baddie. Okay, now this particular baddie will return the response, the final response. So that means this baddie, whether this particular baddie returns or approve or reject, so that response you are getting over here. You see, from this particular baddie, I will return the output as 90 approver, 90 reject. So 90 approver, 90 reject, we will return. Okay. So now from here, if the baddie returns 90 approve, the next step will be activated. If the baddie returns 90 reject, the next step will be the revision step. Okay. So here we are talking about 4 new columns in this particular single validation table. That is merge type, merge type. So merge type is B, means it indicates baddie and the service name. Okay, and also we discussed this is parent step, parent step. So for both your P1 and P2 child items, the parent step is PL. Okay, and now there is another column here, agent group. So this agent group we use 001 and 002, some unique number for this thread and some unique number for this thread. Okay, now in this case what happens, if you look at your condition alias 00 and the next step is PL, and here it takes the condition alias 1, right? So for 1, so this condition alias 1 is common for both these parallel threads. Okay, so that means for the condition, I cannot differentiate here for the condition alias 1 whether this is to for the approver 1 or approver 2. So that's why we are actually linking, taking help from the another column, that is 001, 002. Okay, so for the parallel thread 1, you will see the combination condition alias 1 plus 001. For parallel thread 2, you will have the same condition alias, but here the agent group is 002. So this is where actually this agent group will be helpful. Earlier we are just putting some random number 1, 2, 3, something like that. But now in parallel work item, in case of parallel workflows, the condition alias remains same. Okay, for all the child items. Okay, so now how do I differentiate? So based on this agent group, you can differentiate, and for parallel work item 1, it will goes to some user. Parallel work item 2, it goes to another user. And both these users will take an action like approve or reject. So when they approve or reject, so here what we are doing is the next step here is P1 and P2 condition alias C, and for C we are closing these parallel work items. So as and when they take action, it will take the condition alias and close the work item. And second person can take after 2 days some action. Again, it will take the condition alias and it closes this work item. Okay, so rest everything remains same. So we will make use of these 4 parameters in the single validation table. That's it. Okay, so now let's go to this particular baddie as well. How do we consolidate the response? So this Excel also, anyway, all this Excel also I will share. So you can create a one change request type for material master zmat01 or something like that, as I discussed earlier, and try to implement this as is these steps and fill these 3 decision tables. you will see how you can look at how it works. Along with that one, you need to implement this particular baddie as well. Okay. So let's see what type of logic. It's a very simple logic inside that particular baddie. Okay. So we'll see that one. So first let's create one service name. So this is done. Now there is a baddie handling parallel result. Okay. So just implement this with there is a out of sample reference is there implementation. So you can just actually use that sample code also with small changes over there. I'll show you what is the changes. Okay. So this is a reference example. Let's copy this. Okay. So as usual, add the filter value. Okay. So now let's look at the logic that copied from the standard one, right? Okay. So this is the logic. It's a simple and straightforward. Okay. So now let's look at here, this particular, there is this diagram. Okay. So now the output of this particular baddie will be two things. One is the previous step. So here we need to send previous step and action. Okay. So action can be either approve or reject. So at the same time, from this particular baddie, you also need to send the output. I mean the step. So the step can be any number you can take, like for example 90 I'm taking here. So the output of this particular baddie will be 90 and approve, or it will be like 90 plus approve or 90 plus reject. So this is the output of the either of these two things should be there. Okay. Why? Because if you look at our decision table, in this decision table, I'm expecting 90 plus approve. If 90 plus approve comes, this is what it comes from the baddie. In that case, I'm calling the next step as activation. Otherwise, it should be this one. Okay. Because this 90 is not acting as anywhere here the next steps. If you look at from 0, it is going to the parallel step, and all these parallel threads and everything is closed. So now the baddie should return 90 and approve. It will continue from here. All this one. Okay. So now you need one step and this approve and reject, right? So that's what it declared over here. Okay. You can see merge step. Okay. So approve and reject. The codes are 03 and 04. Okay. And here the merge step is nothing but this one. This is your merge step 90 in our example. That is 90 is the output of that particular baddie. But inside this particular code, inside this code, they mentioned like 02. So now you can change 02 to 90. So that means you will return 90. Approve means it is 03. Reject means 04. So how do you know 03 is for approve, 04 is for reject? Okay. So if you look at this condition alias, for one, the step type we are using is 2. That means this step type is assigned to approver 1 and approver 2. So under step type. So let me show you that step types. Okay, you can see step types. So what is the step type that we are using here? 2. Okay. So for two step type, this is the two step type. Under this one, the actions are approve and reject, and these are the codes 03 and 04. Okay. So those codes we are actually returning from this particular. That's why already these three are declared. The only thing is that what step you wanted to return out of from this particular baddie, that step should match over here. Let's say here you say like a merge step, right? MS. Then here you should handle MS approve, MS reject, merge step. So this should match with this one. Then only you will return from this baddie either 90 plus 4 or 90 plus 3. That will match up over here. That acts as a, whatever you are returning from this baddie, that acts as a previous step. Because both approvers took the action, that is completed. So that means this is the consolidated, the consolidation of P1 and P2, you are returning 90 and approve or reject, right? So that means you need to, this comes as a completed one. That is nothing but previous step and previous action. So that's why we declared here this 3. Okay. When you can actually copy paste exact this logic wherever you have this requirement. Okay. Only thing is that just look at this step. Okay. Now coming back to this logic. So what they are doing here, IT step action, okay, contains all the results, all the responses from A1, A2, A3. How many parallel steps are there? So let's say this person approved, the other person rejected, one more person approved. So all those things comes as a, that will, all those responses are captured over here, all the responses. Now in this logic, what they are doing is they are looping through this, all these responses. And if at least there is a rejection, at least one rejection, because you, no matter you have 10 steps, parallel steps, from out of 10 parallel steps, if there is a rejection, right? So we don't care about the remaining 9 approvals, because there is a rejection, I wanted to reject. That means that's where actually you are sending the response back. Your merge step is 90 and your response is action. From here, you are just simply exiting. Okay. That means if at least there is a rejection, here itself you are setting it as a 90 plus reject, and you are exiting this function mode, this baddie. That means the baddie will return 90 plus reject. Okay. Now, if there is no rejection, all approvers, then in that case, it won't go inside into this particular loop. I mean, even if it loops, it won't go inside into this condition. It will come over here. That means here you are saying approve and merge step is 90. What are the merge step that you define over here? Okay, so this is a common logic. So you just simply copy paste this logic anywhere. Okay, because most of the times, if at least there is a rejection, we wanted to reject all, the entire process, right? So in that case, this will be, this logic will be helpful. Okay.
While creating the parallel workflow process, do we need to tick the tick mark for the parallel processing or without tick
No,
mark?
no, no. That is different. That is parallel
Okay.
CR. That is parallel CR. And this is parallel workflow. There is no linkage between these two things.
Fine.
Okay, so that is parallel change request, means for the same object, two people can create two change requests separately. That means two separate workflows altogether. Here, within one single workflow, one single, this is one CR only, one CR, one single workflow. But inside that, you have two parallel work items. Okay, so I mean, so this addition table is very simplified version of that one. If you look at the standard SAP document, that confuses a lot, but this is a simplified version. So what I will do is, over the weekend, I will actually fill these decision tables as is, and then I will show you the demo in the next session. We'll see the, so when you trigger how the parallel, when parallel work items are there, how it look like and everything, that we will see. I'll show you that one. Okay. So just to save some time, what I will do is I'll just park it aside, and I will fill these decision tables. We'll see the demo, but I will share this entire Excel, so that you have different type of examples how the decision tables to be filled, right? So that you can look at these particular decision tables. Code anyway in any system, you don't need to copy here. So wherever you get MDG system, there you will have that out of box implementation, reference implementations. So there you can refer that code. Okay. So in this system or in your project system, whenever you're implementing that baddie, it will ask you to, do you need to copy that reference implementation, right? So that will be available in all MDG systems, the same code. Okay. So this is how the decision tables you need to fill. Okay. Now, if you look at the decision table.
Can you please open the Excel once? I have some doubts.
Yeah, please. Yeah, sure.
So once the requester, next step will be PL, right? So that,
yes.
So here we are mentioning the alias condition. Does that condition one? Okay. So linking the one in the user agent decision table.
Yep.
So here we are mentioning the list of users for the particular alias condition. Okay.
Yes.
So here for the same way merger type B, is anything we need to give? Only for B we need to give the merger type, any value we should give it, right?
Yeah, actually there are two things are there, but we always use B only. So I'll show you here. B indicates a baddie. That particular baddie will get executed only when you specify here B. Okay, so let's open this decision table.
Any specific how the alias condition will be there, similar way we need to give any value or
Yeah,
only specific B.
yeah, let me show you here. You go to this decision table, single validation table, scroll right. Okay, so you have merge type and merge parameter. Okay, so when I do merge type, so there are two possible merge types. Okay, sorry. One is baddie, other one is customizing table. Exactly, I don't know how this customizing table works. Even we never use this customizing table. We always go with baddie because it's a very simple, the logic I showed you, right? It's a just 4 to 5 lines of code. Okay, so you can just simply always select this particular baddie. Okay, when you select this particular thing as a baddie, in the next parameter you can specify the service name that you created. So the service name is z parallel. Okay, so merge type and merge parameter. So this is how the baddie gets triggered. Okay.
Got it. So for the next, after that CR parent step, right? Second, 15th and 16th lines. So why we used for CR parent step here and parallel agent
Okay,
group?
so now, yeah, I'll tell you. So if you look at these three selected rows, right? So you need to prepare in this manner, then only it creates the two parallel threads. Okay. See, the first thing is this is only for the response. That means once both took that action, approve, reject, then this will come into picture. But before that, once requester submits, system will come over here and it will look up that, okay, so PL is your next step. Okay, so corresponding to this PL, it will take it will also look at under this particular PL how many child items are there. So those many work items will be created. But for all those work items, this condition alias only works because for PL you have the condition alias one. Now it will take this condition alias. There are two entries are there. Okay, with the same condition alias. Now I don't. We need to find it out which row is for which agent group, for which parallel work item. That's where we use this parallel agent group. Okay, so now this parallel agent group 001 is for P1 and this is for P2. Okay, so that's what you will mention over here, P1 and P2 through this agent group. Okay,
We use for the role concept.
yeah, here you can use role. So here
Only
I
one
just view
entry,
the
right?
user. No, here you can use the role. So, but it both items you cannot assign to the same role, right? Then there is no point of parallel workflow. Okay, so you will have two different roles. Instead of user, you can specify AG. Okay, instead of use US, you can specify AG, which is nothing but role. So here you provide one role one. Okay, so that means here you will have some 5 agents under this role. And here also you'll specify AG and it will be probably role 2, different role. So this is, let's say, finance role. This is maybe procurement role. Under this, you might be having some 3 users.
Hey, you know, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features: bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
So the first parallel work item will go to these 5 users. The second parallel work item will go to these 3 users.
Okay, definitely we required two roles.
Yeah, two separate. If you are looking for only one, right, that means only one approver. Then there is no point in having this parallel workflow, right?
Okay.
I mean, see, technically it is possible. Technically, you can assign to the same role. Okay, here and here you can assign the same role technically. But what I'm saying is there is no use, right? Okay, because when you go for a parallel work item, first parallel workflow scenario, when you go for a parallel workflow scenario, let's say for example, this is finance team and this is procurement team. Now, when someone material created, okay, material created, right? So then what happens? Finance team is responsible for finance related attributes. So they will review the data or they will further enrich or they will maintain some more details. Procurement is interested in plant related and MRP related views of material master. So both can individually maintain the data and they can submit or approve or reject their request. You will have first A1 and then it will go to A2. That is, it goes to finance and then procurement, right? So with this one, what happens? There will be time consuming. Okay, so because this person, let's say this person takes 3 days, after 3 days only it comes to this person, and this person can take 3 more days. So totally 6 days it will take to approve this request. Whereas in this scenario, finance team can take though even the 3 days, and procurement team also can take 3 days. That means overall the CR will get approved or you will see the response within 3 days only, because both are two parallel work items. Only in that case, you will actually go for a parallel workflow scenario. When you are going for a parallel workflow scenario, I assume that these approvers are different from these approvers.
Yeah. So going to the again, can you please go to the Excel?
Yeah.
So parallel agent group is the mandatory one, or without parallel
Yeah,
agent
it's
group
a
also we can.
no. This is mandatory. This when you are, if let's say for example, if this is not there, okay. Now you take this conditional yes, and you for this conditional yes, there are you if you are
Okay,
maintaining
so the combination
choose,
will be
it cannot be
identify
unique,
that.
right?
Yeah,
It's a
correct.
yeah. That's what just to differentiate, adding one more additional column so that this combination is different.
But as for SAP document, so they are using along with the merger body, they are using a dynamic data transformation body. What is the difference from there and here?
That is for a different scenario. Okay, so so dynamic agent, let me show you this dynamic agent. Okay, we discussed, right? You can, along with this one, you can also use dynamic agent, but in the dynamic agent, you need to fill agent group as well. There also you need to fill 001, 2, this one and this one. So you need to fill all these things. In the earlier example that we discussed for the dynamic agent, there also we filled this agent group. That
Okay,
is to
instead of
dynamically identify the agents, and this is a static way of identifying your agents.
okay, instead of CR parent step and parallel agent group, we should use the dynamic data transformation body.
No. There are, see, for parallel workflow, these three columns are mandatory. Okay. So this is for parallel workflow to ensure it creates two parallel work items. Now, after that, for each parallel work item, who will be the agents? That's where you can take a call whether you wanted to go with the dynamic agent service or you wanted to use this static user agentation table. Even if you're going with the dynamic agent also to determine your agents for work item 1 and work item 2, still these are mandated. These three are required, irrespective of whether you are going with the dynamic or you are going with the station table. Okay. Both are for two different purpose. It's not same. Okay. Any confusion on this?
No.
Okay. So now just a quick summary. Look at this baddies. Okay. This one we don't use at all. The last one. Okay. So we always 200% we always use these four baddies only. Okay. Now, out of these four baddies, we should first, for what kind of requirements, which baddie we need to use. Okay. So context preparation. Can someone tell me why we need this baddie context preparation? In what cases we go with this context preparation baddie?
Dynamic based on dynamic like material type. For example, based on the material type, dynamically workflow routing.
Yeah. So this is the example, right, that we discussed. You enhance your decision table, okay, with the object specific column. And this for this one, you created one object ID as well. Okay. Now you need to, whatever the value that is entered on the UI in the CR, that value you need to pass it to this ID so that it will compare and accordingly it will take the decision. So that's why
the value will be filled from that body.
Yes. So inside this particular body, you need to read the data from your change request. Let's say that in the standard SAP example, they provided laboratory or labor, I believe. Okay. So that labor, they're reading the data and assigning that value. Okay. So you need to read the data from your CR and you need to set the value to this object ID. Whatever the object ID that you created, you need to set the value to this object ID. That's what we use this for, because sometimes we might need to enhance your decision tables with some data, some additional columns. So that time this baddie will definitely come into picture, and this is the only place where you will fill the data. Okay. So now the enhancement can be either at this level or at this level or at this level. One example is at this level is maybe here depends on your material type. We are defining whether it should be one direct auto approval or one step approval. Maybe here depends on the material type you wanted to assign different agents. Okay. So there are then in that case you can extend here as well. So likewise the requirement can be anything. Now calling of a system baddie. So this baddie we will use if at all you wanted to write some ABAP logic. That ABAP logic you can denote with some step. That step you can plug in wherever you want. Okay. So the step you can plug in over here. Okay. Like a email step kind of thing. And wherever you link that particular step, take the conditional yes and link it to the process pattern 02 and service name. So that logic will get executed. Okay. Now dynamic agent selection. If at all you wanted to determine the agents dynamically, then instead of you don't want it to determine from here, you wanted to determine through some logic, then you can make use of this dynamic agent selection. Then last, parallel result. So in this parallel result, if at all you wanted to club the responses and to send it as a one single response as output of this particular body, then you can make use of this one. So out of all these things, this is the only parallel one where the same logic you can copy paste everywhere, and you can just change the parallel step, whatever that merge step. The merge step is nothing but the merge step should match with here, this one. Okay. So that's all these. So these four baddies are very helpful to handle a lot of customer requirements in the workflow. Okay, so I'll share this Excel as well along with the other documents which I mentioned over the weekend. I'll share it with the support team and they will upload it over there. And also I'll fill by the time I'll fill everything. We will see how it look like a parallel workflow. Okay. So with this one, we completed the workflows as well. Okay. So any questions from anyone on the process modeling topic? So just a quick recap what we discussed in the process modeling. Okay. So because this is a very, very important topic. Okay. So in the process modeling, first we discussed about the logical actions. Logical actions are nothing but create, change, display, block, unblock. Those are the actions. Okay. These are out of box actions already there. We don't need to create any actions. And also business activity. For this logical action, if you attach your object like MM or BP, then that becomes your business activity. Okay. So now with this logical action business activity are already there available. Okay. And if you are creating your custom objects, then you need to create, you can make use of still the existing logical actions only, but you need to create your own business activity. You cannot use the existing business activities. Okay. After that, we discussed about a change request. Okay. So change request. So basically you can create a new change request type. When you are creating a change request type, we assign the data model. We assign data model and then we can say whether it's just objects required or not, single object or not, whether you wanted to create a parallel CR or not, then what is your type on entity, and most importantly, the workflow. Okay. And after workflow, you can assign your business activity. So this business activity tells you that this CR is for what purpose. This CR is for material create or BP create or customer create, vendor create. So that we will define based on the business activity. Okay. Service level agreements you can specify. Okay. So if you are specifying some service level agreements, okay, you can specify the service level agreements are nothing but what is the priority. Let's say you have priority 1 to 3. When you say priority 1 means it is like 1 day. Priority 2, like, sorry, it will be like 2 days. So something like you can define the priorities for every change request. So when you define these priorities, what happens on the UI? So on the change request UI, maybe you see those priorities like this, non-priorities. Okay. So these priorities will be displayed and this will be useful for the business to, okay, this is a high priority request and this has to be approved immediately. So very high priority incident, if I say the SLA is 1 day, and if it does not make approved or take action within 1 day, so then there are reports, it will show up in the reports. We will discuss about that the change request reports. There it will show just for a tracking purpose only. Okay. So those are the priorities also you can maintain. And after that, so once you assign the workflow to your change request type, and if you define the steps for your workflow and change request step configuration, then this step-wise configuration come into picture. So in this one, for your change request, how many steps are there? It will show. For each step, you can select a step, and inside that you have certain the baddie validations, duplicate check, and all that stuff you can control over here. Okay. The other ones are the change request rejection reasons, those things that whatever you actually maintain. So that will be get displayed over here, like your change request rejection reasons, the priority, all that stuff. Okay. So this is about the change request configuration. Okay. And here we also have something called governance scope. Okay, so this also we discussed governance scope means. So basically this governance scope means a particular attribute or entity or something I wanted to take it out of the governance scope. I don't want it to maintain through my change request process or through MDG process. Then you can actually, by default, we don't touch anything over here. Okay. But sometimes what happens is, I'm just taking material master example. Okay. So here all the entities are in governance scope. Okay. Let's, for example, that means this entire entity can be maintained through the MDG change request process. It is governed in MDG. Okay. So you can specify no. When you specify no, that indicates that this entity data cannot be maintained through MDG process. That means on the UI also, it will be read only. Okay, automatically it will become read only. User cannot maintain the data for all the attributes under this entity. Okay. Now, if you select and under this, there are for some specific attributes also, you can take it out of governance scope. Let's say business says that there is a competitor or this attribute is there. This attribute we don't want it to maintain in MDG. Then you can specify it's no. Okay. So usually we don't touch this configuration, but sometimes what happens is for certain attributes by default SAP configures it as a no from the standard SAP itself for certain attributes, or else maybe unknowingly someone actually set this attribute as no. Okay. So that means in in MM for material master under Mara says this attribute is configured it as a no. Okay. Now, later in the next, we are going to discuss another topic called data quality. In the data quality, we talk about the derivations. Derivation means whenever I'm creating a material, so I wanted to automatically fill some data, right? So there you might be, by default, you are populating some customer number. Okay. So if you are populating through programmatically in your code in the data quality topic or in the derivations, okay, though programmatically you are filling some data, that value won't get updated on your UI or it won't get updated. That means basically the derivation doesn't work because here you said it as a no. When you say no, no matter programmatical or however way you try to update the value, system will ignore that updates. Okay. So the reason I'm specifying here is there are many times I have seen that people will try to do some derivations and that values won't get updated. They don't see that the default values on the UI. Okay. So the one possibility could be that attribute might be set it as a out of governance scope. That's why even though programmatically you are setting that value, system will look at this configuration. And if it is set it as a out of governance scope, that attribute, it will be ignored. Okay. So that's why that is another check that we wanted to see. Okay. If your derivation is not working. Okay. So I'm not changing anything here. Okay. So this is also governance scope. After that, we discussed about the workflows. Okay. In the workflows, basically we talked about the event type linkage or prerequisites. Okay. So whenever you wanted to define any workflow, first you need to, in a paper, you need to draw that picture. Okay. Just like how we are discussing, right? So like this, and identify how many steps you need for your workflow, and then define those steps here under the change request. It is this steps. Yeah. Here under the rule-based workflow, define the steps. Okay. And then you can, once you define these steps, then you can configure the rule-based workflow, the 3 decision tables. When you are populating the 3 decision tables, so basically what happens, you need the change request status as well. Okay. So for the, if at all you wanted to create your own change request status, so this is the place where you can create your own statuses for the change request. Okay. So then after that, if at all you wanted to implement any of these baddies, okay, so there you need to follow this approach like service name and then link that service name as a filter criteria to your implementation. Okay. And then linking these baddies to your decision tables also important. Okay. So in which place, what you need to link, that we discussed. Okay, so this is what we discussed in the process modeling. The only one point I think I missed over here is UI determination. Okay, UI determination. So what is this UI determination? Okay, so let me show you here. So if you look at here, I click on the search application. Okay, so here I wanted to create a new material. So look at this one. I'm at the search application. Okay, from here, I am navigating to create material application. Okay, so that means search application. From there, you are wanted to navigate to either create or edit application. Okay, so in this case, when you click on new, it shows up three CR types, because for creation scenario, there are three change request types are there. So you can choose this one or this one or this one. So depends on this change request type, you can configure different for material itself. We can configure different applications, different UI applications. So when you select this one, which material UI application has to be called, or when you select this one, which material UI application has to be called, it can be either same all the cases, or maybe you have a flexibility to call different UI applications. Okay, so this is one way. So navigating from such application to material creation or change application. The same even for BP as well. Okay, for business partner also, when you click on from the search application new, so that there also it's the same, like navigation from search to the BP creation screen. Okay, so this is one. And other one is directly call your create material. When you click on that one, you will get here one UI application. This is not your material OVP application, whatever you are getting here. Okay, this especially SAP created this one standard UI application, considering that, okay, in material, so this we call it as a init page. Basically, whatever you see here for material master, this we call it as a init page. Okay, init page. Init page means it's a initial page. Create page. From here, you wanted to navigate to again same create, basically create only. Okay, so this is your initial page. You can choose your CR type here. So depends on the CR type that you selected. When you click on continue, it will take you to the actual material OVP application. So there is a page navigation or application navigation from one application to other application. So likewise in MDG, you will have like navigating from one page to so other UI application. So which UI application has to be determined? So that we call it as a UI determination. Okay, so this UI determination can happen in three ways. Okay, now let me show you what are the places that you can configure this. Three ways I mentioned, right? So what are the places? If you notice when you are creating a change request type, okay, so let's take example of this one, mat01. Here also you have your UI application name and UI configuration name. Of course, we didn't maintain for material master. Okay, so let's create open our, okay, see here I maintained. Our application is this one and the UI configuration is which we created. Okay, that means there are, the first way is at CR type definition level. CR type definition level. Okay, here also when you choose this CR type, it will call this your application. Okay, so this is one way. The other way is at the configure properties of change request step. I'll just take any random. Okay. Here also, after all these steps, we discuss this one, user interface per change request step. Okay, here also for this workflow requester step, you can configure one, approval step you can configure. Likewise at different places, you can configure different UI applications. Okay, so this is it, CR stepwise configuration. Okay, now there is a third option under the business activity, link logical actions with your UI application. Okay, so this is the third way. That means basically it is through your actions and business activity. Through your action and business activity also, there also you can add based on the action and business activity also, you can determine your which UI has to be called. Okay, so now these are the three ways that you can configure your UI application. Assume that I maintained at all the three places. Now in what sequence, which application it will determine? What is the sequence? Okay, so that's why there is an algorithm. Let me just, I'll show you, just give me one. Okay, so this is the one. Okay, let me make it little. Okay, so the first one is, the most preference will be given at change request step UI. Step UI is nothing but this one. Okay, so change request step UI at stepwise UI configuration, because this is more closer, more specific. For a step you are looking what UI has to be called, right? So this is the first preference. Okay, if nothing found over here, if it found over here, it will directly call that application. If that is not determined over there, because most of the time we don't maintain this one. Stepwise, we don't maintain at all mostly. Okay. So that means if it is not found, then the next one is it is going to this one, link logical action and business activity. I'll show you this configuration. Okay. So the next one is based on your business activity. That is nothing but your business activity or logical action. Based on that one, it will determine that. So these are the UIs which I will show you shortly. Okay. If here also it is not found, the last option is at the change request level. Okay. So at the change request level, we maintain the UI, right? So on the change request definition level. Okay. So this is the change request definition level. So it takes this one preference. Okay. Now that means in this one, the preference will be first given to, this is the first preference, this is the second preference, and this is the third preference. Okay. But this we don't actually use at all. Either we maintain here or we maintain here. For our custom application, we maintain here. For the standard objects, usually it will be here only. Okay. Now let's focus what is this link logical action and business activity. Okay.
Which one is the best option?
And you can actually see, we always usually use this one. Okay. The second one that,
Link.
okay. CR,
Okay,
yeah. Link logical action, which I'm explaining now, which I'm going to explain it now. Okay. Here you can, for all the standard ones, it's always better to maintain here. For the custom applications, you maintain over here. Okay. So if you look at our our ZP CR type, I maintained at the CR type definition level only. It directly calls the to your application. But for the standard one, always try to maintain the configuration here. The link logical action and business activity, which I'm going to explain. Okay. So I don't want it to confuse you people to provide all these details, but the thing is that it is there. So in the MDG, these options are there. So it's better to know. Okay. So now, okay. So this is the one. Okay. Now let's try to understand. Here there are 4 configurations are there.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
Okay, it's a very simple. I'll show you how, because even you need to know how the standard UI applications are getting determined. When I, from the init page, when I select the change request type and click continue button, it is navigating to that OVP application. Okay, so that OVP application, you see this is the OVP application. When you right click and look at this application name, you go to the technical name. What is the application name? BS Mat OVP 09. This is the name of your application. This application is being called. Okay. So create material. Okay. So this is the init page. When you right click here, if you find this application name, BS Mat init _09. So that means in this case, it is navigating like this. Okay. Your init to OVP application, create application, basically create application. Okay. Create application. Okay. Now what is this application name? BS Mat init 09. BS _mat _init _09. Okay. From here to, it is navigating to BS Mat OVP 09. Mat _OVP _09. Okay. So it is navigating from here to here. So where is that maintained? That's what I wanted to show you. Okay. So now let's look at this. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. Here. Now let's try to understand this 4 configuration nodes. In this one, there are, you can see standard definition is there. 1 and 3 says standard definition. 2 and 4 says custom definition. Okay. So that means inside this configuration, what we do at very high level depends on your business activity and action. Okay. What is your UI application you need to call? Okay. So depends on your business activity and action, which UI application has to be called. So that is what we wanted to look at inside this configuration. Okay. So now the standard definition means basically standard SAP already pre-populated some configuration inside this. Okay, if mat1 is their business activity, then action is create, and your current page is init page. This is the application has to be called. Okay, that OP09. That is already maintained over here from the standard itself. Okay, now let's say for example, in this case, what happens from standard, it is calling from 09 to this OVP09. This is your source application. This is your target application. Now you wanted to change that instead of this standard OVP09, you wanted to call some ZOVP09. Okay, you wanted to change. In that case, as already standard populated, it is calling the standard application. We don't actually touch this one. The same entry we maintain in the custom definition. Copy the same entry over here, and inside this custom definition, replace your target application BSMAT OVP09 with ZBSMAT OVP09, whatever that you wanted to do the change. Okay. So when you do this one, what happens in the standard, still standard is calling the standard application. In this one, it is calling your custom, your change. Okay. So now both are there. Now the thing is that when SAP try to look up that configuration from init page, when you select your change request step and click continue button, first always it will come and look at your custom definition. Are there any entries maintained over here for this business activity, for this action? If there is an entry maintained over here, this will take the preference. That means it calls your Z application. If nothing is maintained here, then it will go to the standard definition. That's why SAP already provided standard in the form of standard definition, all the configurations, and they also give some custom definitions where you can maintain custom ones. So if you maintain here, don't touch any entries over here. Instead of that one, you wanted to override some changes, do over here. Okay. So now what is this configuration? Let's first look at your standard definition. Go to the standard definition. First, take your business object type. Business object type for material 194. Okay. So for 194, scroll down. I'll show you exactly. Okay. Look at this entry. Okay. Okay. This is for mass action. For create logical action should be create. Yeah. This one. Okay. Now let's try to compare this one. When I click on create, but this one hyperlink, I'm trying to show you how exactly it works from that it looks at that configuration. So now this will open up the create material init page. Okay. Now you are in the init page. Okay. So in this init page, basically this is for the creation. Okay. Now for creation, so here, if you look at this one, your object is 194 material master. Your action is create. Okay. And currently you are at init 09. Right. So we are at init 09. This is your init 09. So all this will become your current. See in the top, it's your current application. Currently you are at init page with this create action and object is 99. Sorry, 194. Then what is your target UI application? Scroll right. So if you look at your target UI application, it calls your OVP09 application. This is how when I select here some change request type and click continue, system actually from here it reads the configuration OVP09. That's why you can see here it's a OVP09 application, that your material master, that OVP09 application. So this is how, and your business activities MAT1. Okay. Now let's say for example, for all the whatever may be the way that you wanted to come, for everything I wanted to call OVP09 irrespective of init page or irrespective of search page. From search to you can come to create. From init to also you can come to create. So I wanted to make it simple. Then these two you can keep it as a star. When you keep here star, whatever may be your current application, it can be from search or it can if you are in init. But in all these cases, it calls the same OVP09 application only. Okay. So likewise, now let's look at the other option, search. From search also we are coming, right? So let me show you that one as well. So I'll go to search material. Okay. Now you are in search application. To know this application name, always right click on technical help. Search 09 is your application. Okay. So now if you look at in the down under the create only, is there any search? Yeah, here. So you are at currently search 09. So now look at here. Where is the search 09? This one, MDG BSMAT search 09. MDG BSMAT search 09. Okay. Now you are at MDG search BS mat 09. And from here, if you call your create material, it calls your this one 9H. Okay. So it calls this particular UI application, target application. So likewise, you can actually now from search application, you can perform, you can go to create or you can edit or anything. That's why they just kept it as star. From init page, always it will be create only. That's why they explicitly mentioned logical action create. Okay, here they put star. Okay, star means it can be any action, create, change, or any action. Okay, so this is how you can actually your UI applications get determined. Okay, so this is the standard one. Now let's say for example here, instead of this one, you wanted to call something else, ZBS mat, or you might created some custom application, whatever your own application. Then the same entry, okay, what you can do is you can also put it in the second one, custom definition. Okay, you can keep your in the custom definition, your business activity, everything. Okay, then in the target, you can change your application name here. So then what happens? First, system will try to determine based on your business object type, action, current UI application. It will determine your this one. It not necessary all the time you need to fill that current UI application. You can keep it star also. If you don't have any current UI application, you can keep it star. Let's say we have our custom object, right? So then you can maintain business object type is ZP underscore BOT. Logical action is create. This is star star and this is OVP gen and this is ZP OVP gen. So like you can just simply maintain. But in our case, I just maintained it at the CR type level, but you can maintain here as well. Okay. So this is to override the standard changes, but never ever try to edit this one, because once you do some changes over here, you will be losing what is came as part of box. That's why SAP provided this one custom definition. Is this clear to everyone?
Yeah. But as part of our previous testing, we just directly we have assigned the UI configuration at the CR type creation, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, in our earlier, I just directly assigned there. That is also fine. Or you can also maintain over here, no issues. Okay. So because many times, so people don't know, okay, when you click from the search application, you click on create it, it shows that application from where it is coming. You have a requirement to change that one. Okay. So then from where I need to do the change, then you can actually locate that entry exactly in these configurations. Okay, fine. Now when you're maintaining this configuration, this one plus this one both should go together. Okay, you maintained here where it should call the OVP09 from search application or init application, which is fine. Okay, now coming back to the standard definition also, there should be a corresponding entry here. If you don't maintain the entry here, you get an error message saying that navigation error or authorization, some authorization error, you get it. Okay, here also by looking at the columns, you will easily understand. So it's a BS underscore mat. Yeah, you can see here BS mat OVP09. Why these 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers are there? These are with each release SAP users. So when if you are in SAP HANA 2023 and if you are using MDG 9.2 version, always use this 09 version. Okay. So here BS mat OVP 0909, you will have some create action. Yep. So this is for the create action. And what is your business activity? We know all these details. Just you need to mention here one more time. Okay. So nothing much. Your UI application and action and business activity. Okay. You need to just mention over here. So system will look up these two tables for the activity and it will determine the UI application. Same thing, if you are maintaining any entry here, you need to maintain the corresponding entry here. So these two are copy of the same tables only, but this is for custom, this is for standard. This one also same like that. Okay. So you need to just maintain over here all those configurations. So this is what it talks about. If you look at this one, based on business activity and business object type, you need to retrieve your UI application. So this is a view maintenance navigation. Okay, that is about UI navigation. Okay, coming back to one more, I mean, just as a FYI kind of thing. Okay, so let me show that one as well. So material governance.
Daddy.
Okay, here. Okay, so let's say for example, let me open MWBC BP creation as well. First thing is in BP homepage, you don't have option directly to create a business partner. There is no link here directly to create a business partner. Okay. Why? Because SAP wants everyone to navigate to such business partner. From the search business partner, so ideally you search the data. If not found, then go ahead and create a new business partner. Or else directly from here, you have an option to create a new business partner. Okay. So here you have an option, just a minute. Okay. Here you have an option directly to you have an option to click on create new business partner. That means if you notice the difference between material or any other objects, in material, let's say for example, in material master, you have init page. From init page, you can navigate to create object, create application, or else you have search. From search also, you can navigate to create application, or edit block and all that stuff. Okay. So this is in case of BP or finance or all other objects, right? You always have the search application, search, and then create. There is no init page concept for other objects. Only for material master only you have that init option. Okay. So that means for material master, when you click on this create, you get this init page, initial page. Okay. You enter some data and click on continue. There it will take you to the application. But for BP and everything, you don't have this concept. Okay. I wanted to again highlight this because you see this init page in the configurations which I showed. There you will find init 09, init 08, init 07. But you don't find that similar kind of things for BP and everything. Okay. Why SAP introduced this concept of this init page concept? Any guess?
No.
Yeah, let me explain. Now go to MM01. 01, you have an option called copy from. That means I wanted to create a material. Then in most of the cases in Material Master, there is a concept people will follow before MDG. What people will follow is a reference material concept. Reference material concept means basically, let's say for example, you have different type of materials. Let's say finished products are there, finished products, and some raw materials are there, and some semi-finished products are there. Okay, some sample goods are there. So likewise, different material types are there. So what SAP, most of the people, the consultants they follow is for every type they create one reference material. Reference material, let's say reference material 1, reference material for raw materials. Likewise, they create different materials. So these are not for the production usage. So they create this one. Then after that, what happens is, if at all I wanted to create any finished product, they enter that reference material over here. So when you enter some reference material, it is as good as copy from this to this one. So in this reference material, you already did all that, what are the plants it should extend, what are the sales orgs it should extend, and MRP areas, what values you need to fill. So everything will be already available. So when you enter your reference material and try to create a material, it will copy the same exactly and it will create a new material. So this reference material concept is there. And once you enter some reference material over here, you get a pop-up. Let me show you here. Not if you guys are already aware of this one. Okay, let's say for example, when you enter some reference material and okay, so choose some material type. Let's say, I don't know whether it will, I need to find a right example, but let's say for example. So when you do like this and select the views and click on OK, in the next page, you get an option that the source plants, it will show up all the, what plants, what sales stocks and everything from the source material. And right hand side also, it shows the same fields. So that at plant, you have an option to choose, okay, the reference material contains 10 plants, but from the 10 plants, you wanted to copy only 5 plants. So that kind of flexibility is there. Okay. So to handle the similar kind of requirement here as well, SAP introduced this init page. Okay, of course, we accept this change request type everything, but you see on the right hand side template. This is nothing but a reference material concept only. So you can choose your material, reference material, and in the reference material, what are your plant storage locations that you wanted to copy from here? If you just only enter the reference material and click on continue, everything will be copied. If you specify certain plants and everything, so here plant 1000 should get copied to the data from plant 1000 should get copied to 1000, or it can be 2000. So you can give. So likewise, you wanted to use if you wanted to use the same kind of reference material concept here as well, then just to handle that kind of requirement, SAP provided exclusively this screen similar to your MM01. Okay, so that's why this is the initial page. From here, once it takes this data and click on continue, so it will actually copy the data in when it navigates to the OVP page, there it will automatically fill the data. Okay, so that's why you see this init page concept over here, but you don't have that reference material or reference business partner concept or a kind of thing. If at all you go to BP screen for creation of a BP, right? BP screen. In BP, there is no option, copy option kind of thing here. You see, there is no, you have to directly create. Why? Because especially for business partners, customers, vendors, SAP strictly don't allow you to, they didn't provide a provision to copy from, because when you're copying means that indicates that you are copying one business partner into another business partner. That means you are creating a duplicate record. So ideally we wanted to have one single record. So that's why there is no such kind of provision. It's always creation case only. Okay. So that's what about that init page concept, because many people not aware of why SAP introduced only for material and for other objects. So that's why I want it's a small explanation around that one. That is, so we discussed data modeling, UI modeling, process modeling. Now the data quality. Okay, so in this data quality topic, what are the things that we are going to discuss basically under the data quality topic? Okay, we configure search views. So I'll explain search views. Okay, search views. Okay, after that we can discuss about duplicate check configuration, because this duplicate check we discussed in the stepwise configuration to enable the duplicate check or not. So there we discussed about that one. Okay, but that is once you configure this, whether to run the duplicate check functionality or not, there we are taking the decision. But before that, how to configure the duplicate check, what is the duplicate check functionality, all that stuff we discuss over here. Okay, then after that we'll discuss about validations and derivations topic. This is very, very important in MDG. In any MDG project, for sure you will have these validations and derivations. Okay, so in validations and derivations, you can achieve using baddies, or you can also achieve using BRF applications without writing any code. So we'll discuss about all these things. There is again something called external enrichment topic. External enrichment. Okay, so this also, so these are the broadly at high level we'll discuss about these 4 topics under the data quality. Okay, so let's discuss about the search views, which is a simple and there is no code, nothing involved. So let's look at this configuration. Okay, so here let's go to search material. Let's start with the data quality with a fresh mind. Okay, but yeah, see if you if possible over the weekend, try to configure that. I'm not looking at the data model and everything, but at least the change request type configurations and workflows, try to do it. Okay, thank you all. Bye.